Hello! Hi, guys! Oh my God, I'm super excited about tonight. So, I am Manny. I am part of the Edpuzzle community team, and we want to know where you're from, where you're at, what's your role, what's happening with you. We have a really cool panel tonight. I was at FETC, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, I have to have them. It is amazing. The world needs to know about reciprocal learning. So we put all this together. And with me tonight, I have the amazing Caitlin.
Hi, Manny, and everyone joining us. Just like you, I'm really looking forward to chatting about reciprocal learning this evening. We've got 3 panelists who are joining us. We'll be talking about how students can work together to master content and also how teachers can actually implement this in their classrooms.
Yes. Oh my God, working together. That's something like we always talk about collaboration, and there's the pedagogy that talks all about collaboration and adding rigor to the curriculum. So
and getting to those higher order thinking skills.
Yes. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is fine. This is so cool. So we have our first panelist is Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Manny. Hey, Caitlin. How are you all doing?
Doing good.
Yes. It's like, honestly, I cannot wait for people to learn about reciprocal learning. It's like, OMG, the best thing ever.
Yeah, very, very exciting. A lot of fun happening with reciprocal teaching and learning.
All right.
Go ahead.
I was going to introduce our other panelists. We've also got Maggie and Lauren joining us from Dominion Trail. Oh, you guys are on mute.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, we have Shaoli here. Hi, girl.
Okay. Should we go ahead and jump in with our first question?
Well, Jeff. What do you do? Like, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Manny. So my name is Jeff Joseph. I am the proud principal of Dominion Trail Elementary School. We are in Loudoun County, Virginia. We've been in the news a little bit with our school board and some other happenings in Loudoun County, but we're keeping the main thing, and that's our kids and learning. And our community has done a fantastic job of kind of backing us and supporting us, and continuing to make that main thing the main thing, which is our kiddos. And I got to be honest, I am in the background usually and hopefully, because I have these 2 wonderful teachers and a bunch of other fantastic teachers at our school at Dominion Trail, and they are phenomenal. So Maggie, Lauren, do you all want to introduce yourselves?
I'm a first grade teacher here at Dominion Trail. I've been teaching first grade for the last 5 years, and I'm so excited that we're using reciprocal learning in our classrooms.
Yep, I'm Lauren Wood, and this is my 4th year teaching kindergarten here at Dominion Trail and my 7th year in education. We're excited to share some of the things we have going on with you.
Okay. So we're all waiting. Yes.
All
right.
Let's start.
For people who aren't familiar, what is reciprocal learning?
So I'm hoping or sure, and if you haven't done so, please look up some of the research that's done by John Hattie, and I'm sure a lot of educators have heard that name before, and in his research done with the hinge point, and anything over that hinge point gives you the maximum learning effort from students, and it has the biggest impact on students. So we're definitely not reinventing the wheel. We're kind of just taking and looking at that research that was done over millions of kids and trying to get the biggest bang for our buck. And so reciprocal teaching is, simply put, where teachers kind of get out of the way, right? And students become that teacher. So they're given that information, they're absorbing it, they're somehow taking it in, and then the best way of learning something is doing it. I'm that way. You can talk to me until you're blue in the face, and until I actually get my hands dirty and actually do something with it, that's when I start to understand it a lot more. So reciprocal teaching is that small group where the kids literally become the teachers and start teaching themselves and their peers about something that their teacher has already, kind of gone over and covered in the class. So it's called a lot of different things, right? You might have a teacher leader, peer tutoring. A lot of people know it as the jigsaw method. So again, we're not reinventing the wheel by any means. We're just trying to capitalize on the biggest bang for our buck, right? In American education, we do so much in 7 hours with 6.5 hours with these kids. We want to get the biggest bang for our buck. So, reciprocal teaching is a great way to kind of solidify the skills that we want our kids to know. And the more we can do that, and it can't be done with everything, we get that. But the more you can do it, the more beneficial, the more you'll get out of your kids in the long run. And you might not see the effect right then and there, or in the month, or even in the year. And I always tell the teachers at my school, 5th grade, you have to buy 4th grade dinner, right? 4th grade, you got to buy 2nd grade dinner, because they're the ones instilling these types of practices and thoughts and problem solving skills, and those higher level skills, cognitive skills, that'll help the kids in the future. So it's great. It's a lot of fun too.
I love what you said. It was like, get the teacher out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, I was a teacher, I always wanted to be in control. Like, this is my classroom. And I love it when it mindset just changes into like, let them discover their own learning, and it just becomes more personal.
And Manny, I got to be honest, that's the hardest part of this, right? Because we're all, well, I can't say we're all, but a lot of us are control freaks when it comes to our classrooms, and things have to be done a certain way. Excuse me. And that's the hardest thing, is literally getting out of the kids' way. And when we went digital learning and virtual learning, that was the big saying I had with our teachers, is literally get out of their way. We might be the ones holding them up because they've grown up with these, right? We're jumping on the bandwagon late. This is their world right now. And for us to kind of get out of their way is just going to literally release the floodgates of fun, of learning, and teaching from their own kids.
I love it.
Yeah. So I think one of the ways, there's a lot of ways of doing this in the classroom. And like I said, it doesn't lend itself always to every aspect or every activity that you could do in your classroom. But I know Lauren and Maggie, they do a phenomenal job, especially in reading and math, which is obviously one of our big focuses. So ladies, how would you do this if you were a teacher, right? How would you kind of get this going?
Well, in kindergarten, you really have to set the stage for what they're going to do the rest of their career. It's our first experience getting our hands on them in our school. So you really have to teach them about the 4 pillars. So you have to teach them how to question, how to summarize, how to make predictions, and how to clarify or ask clarifying questions to their peers. So really modeling that for them, but again, getting out of their way, letting them try to teach their peers, letting them fail, letting them succeed, and watching it all happen.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like in the early stages of it, letting them talk about something they already know more about, definitely, because they're more comfortable talking about something. And when they're sitting and talking with the other students that are sitting around them, they're so much more apt to ask them a question about it, I think, sometimes, because in that small group, instead of just raising their hand to everybody else, so they can talk about it amongst themselves. And the learning is just crazy to watch, like how excited they are that they're doing it and not just listening to us sitting in their desks or on the carpet.
That's super important, that when the student is excited about learning.
Well, yeah, I think that's your hook, right? When you can get a kid who wants to have that limelight, everyone wants attention, right? These ladies know, you give me a microphone, I'm not going to stop talking. I love the attention piece, right? And so when a student, and I'm 45 years old, so when a student, at 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 years old gets that limelight of all eyes on me, or right, this small group, their self-confidence, we're not talking academics at this point, right? We're talking social emotional learning at this point, where their blood pressure starts going in a good way, right? Their pulse they get excited that they are the ones that are on stage, the most important person in that group right now. And it will uplift someone who might not be the strongest reader, might not be the strongest mathematician, but you give them that limelight for them to shine. And it's fun to see people come out of their shells eventually, right? Lauren and Maggie, I'm sure you can talk about, this isn't an overnight thing, right?
Right. And I was going to add on that you really get to see and highlight each student's strengths, which is because you want every student to be a part of this and to be the teacher and the learner. So you get to highlight a strength in every student in your class so that each student is a leader of something different.
Right, definitely. Like some students, are going to take the lead. And so they're and they have watched the model of it be done so much that they understand like how to like lead, and the other students are learning along with them, and then eventually they can switch. And it's hard to be the leader and take a back seat when you're the one who has been front and center. Then, as you know, even as a little kid, like you're the one who's been kind of, you know, been the leader, and then to hand over the reins to somebody else. But you can even tell like in the groups that the kids are excited when somebody else like steps up and gets to share more, because they turn and they look. And like, it's so funny, like you see it like wash over them, like, oh my gosh, they just did something amazing. So it's nice that it's not just one person. And like you said earlier, Manny, for us, or maybe it was Jeff, for us to be able to move around their room, to see other kids as well, and not just be so focused sometimes on students that need that little bit of extra, to be able to get around to everybody else is so nice at the same time.
I love so much about what you're saying. I'm really liking the fact that every single student gets to have those experiences of being there, like of having that mastery and being the leader, giving them that kind of like Jeff was saying with the social emotional learning. It really builds them up as learners. And I love that we're talking about doing it with kindergarten and first grade.
Right.
My background is secondary, and I know, but 6th grade and a lot of 9th grade. So I know I'd hear like, oh, cool, you're doing that in your honors 12th grade class.
Mhm.
My kids are like, no, that's going to be a waste of time to even try it. We're talking about kindergarten and first grade, and you do have to build them towards it. You were talking about teaching those 4 pillars, but it can be done, and it sounds like y'all are doing it with a lot of success.
And definitely in first grade and kindergarten, it looks completely different than like what you're saying in those higher grades, because we're talking like very small things here where I can't even imagine. Hopefully it sets the stage for them later, like as they grow, to just, you know, do even better.
And Maggie, Lauren, real quick, just kind of adding on to that, and being the principal, right? We have the big picture. We try to have that big picture in mind, where teachers, right? And this is not a negative. Teachers have that tunnel vision of, I get them for this year, and then they're moving on, right? Where the reason I love this is, like I said earlier, if we're able to do this in kindergarten and first grade and continue this on through their grade levels, when they get into middle school, when they get into high school and early adulthood, the problem-solving skills that they will have, and hopefully that self-esteem of, wait, I'm not the best reader, but I was able to stand up and literally take command of 3 or 4 other people in my group and kind of guide them on where to go. That is huge. And if it's a continual pattern of doing this type of teaching and learning, the results are out of this world. And that's why, as a principal, I love seeing it done in our younger grades. Heaven forbid if it doesn't carry over into a first grade, or even a second grade, or even a third grade, depending on teaching styles. Those kids have the taste of that, because somewhere along their lives in their educational career, they're going to get another teacher that's going to say, hey, here's the problem, go, right? And literally I say, get out of the way and let them figure this out. And what I find is, and with our teachers, not only at Dominion Trails, other schools that I've been in, you know, we hate failing, right? No one wants the principal to walk in to do a walkthrough and then all of a sudden see a lesson literally crumble in front of them, because literally the hives start popping up everywhere, right? I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. If you ask I hope they would say this. I love failure, right? Because if no one's failing,
I forgot your name this year when you observed me. You came in and I even said, and I have known Jeff forever. And I literally, in front of the entire class, couldn't even say his name. And they laughed and said, this is the big mistake room. It's okay. I was so embarrassed.
But that's what we want. We want kids to, I always say, if failure was not the best teacher in the world, none of us would have driver's license, right? As soon as you do that parallel parking, and you bump that curb, you're done, right? You failed, you're out, you never get to go again. But you've learned how to parallel park after you've bumped. So failure is the best teacher in the world. But the sad thing is, our teachers are so nervous about the kid not saying the right answer, because it takes more time, right? It takes more effort to get them to go figure out. That's exactly it, Sarah. Falling forward. It takes so much more time to get them to find the answer on their own rather than us give it to them, right? Tying a kid's shoe. We hurry up. We have to get to PE. Let me do it for you. we did nothing for that kid, right? We did not. And the same thing in reading and math, or science and social studies. If they have a problem or if they fail on a question or answer it wrong, hey, I don't think that's the right answer. Go look it up, because we all have these now, right? Every kid has some kind of technology. They can go figure this out on their own. When they keep doing that more often, reciprocal teaching, reciprocal learning becomes literally second nature of, Mr. Joseph, Mrs. Gearing, I found the answer. Remember I answered it wrong before? Well, I found the answer and here's what it is now. And then literally their chest pumps up, right? That social emotional piece comes like, I'm the man right now. I'm the girl right now. Like, I just literally solved my own problem. And you're right. It's awesome when it happens in kindergarten and first grade, because if it can happen there, sky's the limit as you get older. That's all.
Well, it's like Kate said on here. She said those are real world skills. Like that's so true. Like you need it everywhere. Like that is amazing. You are totally right. Like if we can build them up now, I mean, we're going to need it all our lives. I mean, who went into middle school and was like, oh, I have to do another group project? Maybe we're like setting them up to be like, I can work in a group. I can do this, because they've had enough practice, over the years of doing it, and like having to think about the problem and answer the question and work together collaboratively.
Well, all this sounds real nice. So if I have no idea how to start, how do I get it going with this? Because I mean, you guys keep saying like, oh, it's nice, it's this and that. I'm like, but like, if I have no idea, how do I put it together with reciprocal learning, like 101? How do I get a teacher into this?
Well, sorry.
No, Lauren, go ahead, please. I was
going to say, just start by teaching those 4 pillars very slowly, teaching them how to question each other in a respectful way, teaching them how to ask questions to get the answers that they're looking for. In kindergarten, they could have a sentence stem that they might follow every single time until we change it. And they have 2 stems that they start with. At the lowest level, teaching them 2 questions, summarize, predict, and clarify, and then getting out of their way, which is the hardest part. Telling them, solve your problem. I mean, I say that, my kids are like, I'm like, you can do it. Solve your problem.
Definitely. Like for example, in math, when we were just beginning patterning, you could tell that a couple of kids in class had an idea of what patterning was. And I kind of stepped away just a little bit earlier and had the blocks on the floor. And I think we showed the picture of the video while we were at FETC. And the student was so excited because as he was teaching like the pattern or explaining the pattern on the floor to someone else, he realized his pattern was incorrect. And he was like, oh. And so he stopped and he went back and he was like, can we do it again? So like we re-videotaped because he knew I was taping. Aww. But it was funny because he stopped and he was able to, like, somebody was able to say, well, why did you stop? And he said, well, because I made a mistake. So then they could talk about it. And like we talked about like the core of the pattern and everything. And somebody else didn't quite understand. So like he was explaining as he was going, but like clarifying the question that someone else asked. So like you see it happening, like not like how one of the videos Jeff showed at the conference was like of older students sitting down and looking at it was like a passage, and they were going through it and they each have their own role. Like in this example in first grade, like they were literally just trying to explain to someone how to do what they had kind of already been taught, but we hadn't gone into it as deep yet. And like hearing them asking why they changed something was awesome.
Yeah, Maggie, I think the one video you're referring to was a student that was doing a picture walk, right? And they're explaining their picture walk through their lens. And the funniest thing is, why do you like they're asking themselves, right? Because they're obviously reciprocating what you were teaching them. Why do you think the elephant is staring this way, right? And it's funny to hear that. But one thing I want to tell everyone, right? We're talking about ideal situations. We're not talking about an overnight thing. We're talking about months and months of practice and training. And by no means are we experts, right? As much as I love these 2 ladies, no way are we the experts of this, because there are a bunch of schools in the country that are doing this on the daily, right? I mean, there's reciprocal teaching schools out there. I know there's one in California that is a Portuguese speaking school that we met at the conference at FETC, and they literally are doing this every day. That's what their whole school is built around, is reciprocal teaching. So we're definitely not the experts, but we know the pitfalls of going through this. And one of the biggest pitfalls, and I'm trying to be real, right, is time. We know that we have a reading lesson we have to get through. We have this math lesson, science, social studies, social emotional learning. We got to get the specials. We got to get the lunch. Oh, we have to throw 2 recesses in there because that's what our county deans, right? So we're talking time is our enemy, but this will pay, again, being the principal in the future. You might not see it as a kindergarten teacher that year, right? You might not see it as that year's teacher. But trust me, when those kids are moving on, the benefit of it, it's one of those unthankful jobs, right? Kindergarten's not going to get a high five from 3rd grade because of the problem-solving skills or the leadership skills they instilled in them in kindergarten or 1st grade. But that's what we see, right? And in the long run. So I know the pitfalls of this is a time thing. But if you are able to put in some of that time, sprinkle it in here and there, and be deliberate about it, the benefits of it, some are immediate. Trust me. There are some kids that are just, get out of my way. I got this, right? And then there's others that are struggling in reading and struggling with their self-confidence that do not want to be any type of leader in this group or this reciprocal teaching aspect. And you have to tread lightly. But in the long run, I keep saying that, in the long run, the big picture of it, it's amazing. And it can be really, really beneficial.
One thing is like what Kate was saying here is, even if it's kinder, their skills that you're going to use in everyday life. Like right now that I'm interviewing, I'm looking to see, like, are you going to be able to work together? Are you going to be able to figure out things on your own? Like, if we're teaching students right now how to do that in kinder, eventually they're going to become masters in problem solving. And it's a hard skill to teach, but it will pay off. Even if you spend like 5 minutes or 3 minutes every day, it will get better.
Right.
And I've never gotten a student and thought, well, I wish their elementary school teachers didn't teach them so much persistence and problem solving.
Yeah.
Like, it's wonderful. But just like you're saying, Jeff, it's that investment over years, and kind of having that buy-in that I'm going to invest in these students and in them as learners, because it does take some time.
And Caitlin, and I got to be honest, and that's a higher level mindset. And what I mean by that is that like my bosses, right? The administration building, and then the principals and the supervisors, they have to be able to give you that rope, if you will, right? That extension rope to kind of have the opportunity to do stuff like this, knowing that in the long run, it's going to pay off. It's not going to pay off probably in the first couple of months or even the first year or so. But again, I hope my staff and these ladies would tell you the last thing that we have in Virginia. We talked about this at our conference. In Virginia, we have a state testing called SOL, and it's not what you think it stands for. It stands for Standards of Learning. And so that's what we're held to, right? And teachers take that to heart when students don't do well on their SOLs. But at our school, at my school, and I hope none of my supervisors or bosses are watching, I don't think in the last 3 or 4 years have we ever talked about SOL score results at my school, because that's not what we're about. I hope that my staff would say that. You hear about the whole child, and people always say, oh yeah, you have to worry about the whole child. You do. There are so many things happening right now, especially with COVID hitting and the social emotional piece of it. Mm-hmm. Unless you get that under control, this reciprocal teaching, reciprocal learning, that's not going to happen at all. And if you don't have the flexibility to put time into something like this from your administrators, right, then you're going to be on an uphill battle, to be honest with you, because there are principals out there. Don't get me wrong, that data. I need to see your progress, and we still look at data. We still look at progress, but we don't look at it as the end all be all. We look at it in a big picture, and it's not always a happy conversation what we have with teachers all the time, because they want their kids right then and now to succeed, and I want my numbers to be here, right, to be up here. And I always say, hey, relax, chill out. Next year, let's look at the kid that you just had and see where they are. In 2 years, let's look at that kid and see what they're doing then. because it is a small window of their educational career that you have them for. That's it. Unless you're an administrator and have that wide lens of, all right, we have 6 years with these kids. I have 6 years to get them here. You're thinking, oh, I have this amount of time to get them here, but you don't. You have them for 1 year. That's it. That's why if we build onto each other and look at it as, hey, I've done my 1/6 of my job, because when they get to second grade, they're going to do this, or the first grade, second sixth, third's half of their job. If we build on it like that, by the time they get to leaving us at elementary school, we have them where we want them to be.
And if teachers at home, hopefully, well, for us, it's evening. So for those of you, I hope that you're at home at this point in the night, hearing this and saying, my principal doesn't sound like that. I think being able to point to the research that you mentioned earlier, and also that these are higher order thinking skills. We're talking about evaluating a problem, analyzing the information, synthesizing what their partner is saying, and synthesizing information from the problem. So we really are hitting all those things that, even outside of calling it reciprocal learning and that being wonderful, it's the things that we should be doing anyway. So I have to ask, how can Edpuzzle fit into this?
So
All right. Yeah, ladies.
Sorry, I was going to say, we were talking about the student project piece and getting the students' data from what you can send to them. But we even were having the idea of getting videos of students where we would create the lesson and then taking the lesson and giving it out to the students who that student is teaching, kind of being the work between, where we would film the videos of the student leaders and then pushing it out to the students in their small group, one-on-one, or even the whole group. Is that something that we could do?
Oh my gosh. I think student projects is like the hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about. I love me some student projects. And the thing is, right now you have to have access to YouTube, but soon students are going to be able to record themselves or record their screen and do it themselves. But
that's
and
awesome.
add questions and notes. So not only are they creating their own videos where they're doing this explanation, but they can turn it into a whole interactive lesson for their partner or their group.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. So with Edpuzzle, right? Am I right to say we can pull in videos from from YouTube, and I think the Khan Academy is on there as well, right? You can upload videos to kind of help you get started, but then once the kids are able to start, once you all open up the kid part, that they're able to become the creators. That's the key, right? That's gonna be like the needle in the haystack. Once kids see that they're able to publish their videos and it's being pushed to the kids, to the other groups and other students, like the teacher does it. I gotta be honest, I'm getting chills right now. I'd say that
total buy-in.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be very exciting.
And it really hits that questioning piece.
Yes, that's interesting.
Because like understanding which questions to ask and based on their own teaching, that's higher order thinking. Like that is the highest, I think.
See, because I would say like Edpuzzle is like well-rounded. You can go with like the lowest level, but just put the video, and then you can go up a notch and like add questions, right? And then you go all the way up with student projects on my honey. We got you. We can go all the way from the bottom to the top with Edpuzzle.
That'd be awesome, man. That's very exciting, man. I'm looking forward to this. This will be fun.
I'm also thinking like for scaffolding in those skills when you're teaching those 4 pillars, using a video where you're introducing a problem, maybe you're modeling some of what you want students to do, but you can also do open-ended questions and have students type their answers or record themselves. So you could ask students like, what would you ask your classmate at this point? Or how would you explain what either you just explained or something totally new? And since we're talking about the little ones, about our kindergartners and first graders, having those audio responses, I think would be removing another barrier.
I love that you can do the audio responses, how you're saying, because like our kids, not all of them are the most confident, like in their typing skills or things like that. And having the ability to just record those answers and everything is huge, because
Mhm.
then everyone in class is able to do it.
But also then replaying their voices for the other kids.
Mhm.
You're not just saying, oh, Jeff said this. You're playing their voice, which really gives everyone that ownership. And I want to try that.
Because if you talk about the little kids, my students, they can tell me they don't know how to put their thought into words, because I taught first grade.
So with that in
They don't
10th
know
grade,
how to do that. They
They
can
have
tell
so much
you.
to say, and they look down and they're like, yeah, no.
I'm like, no. So this,
Well, they're like me. You give them a microphone, watch out. They're going to tell you 5 stories in 30 seconds.
10 minutes.
yeah. Oh, like Sarah's saying about live mode too. But yeah, that you train students into how to learn from a video, because sometimes it's not implicit.
Yeah.
But with live mode, it's the teacher shows the video and then the kid gets the questions, kind of thing.
and you can show students responses. So kind of like you were talking about playing that student's voice, you have that opportunity there to showcase students' responses, but it's anonymous. So you're not putting them on blast, as my kids would say, if they aren't correct or not something that's perfect.
It's also nice though, like, because having that, like, you're starting to build like your like a repertoire of all of these different things. Because like when I'm talking about something that we're doing in class right now, I keep thinking back to kids from the past that have done things, and I'm like, oh, if I could just show how they explained it, because somebody else sometimes just has such a better way of doing it. So being able to pull an old video of a student doing something, or maybe for a student who just really needs to learn it a different way, I think would be huge as well, because again, out of the way, a student is doing it.
Yeah, the kid language.
Yep.
And don't forget, in the meantime, you as a teacher can still record and upload a video. So if you want to record something with your computer or your phone, and we're totally avoiding the whole YouTube thing, you can still have those things, and they can stay in your Edpuzzle account and carry over from year to year.
Yep.
Manny, I feel like we could talk about this all night.
Oh, we could. I think, like, to recap, if I want to get it going on with reciprocal learning, I have to start by teaching kids how to question themselves, how to ask questions. That's a big scale. I think we can start with that.
And there's a lot of research out there that'll help you get there. If you literally Google reciprocal teaching or look that up, there's places there that are doing a way better job than we are doing. But you got to start somewhere. So there are places to show you how to set up these groups and what questions to give the kids to kind of get them started to jump off that diving board. So, but once you jump, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of mistakes, which is a good thing. Which is, we got to get that mindset that failure is a good thing.
Kids do it all the time, and we need to tell them it's okay.
That's
Going
exactly
forward, like somebody said earlier.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is, like that Caitlin said, we could talk about this forever. But yeah, I mean, Maggie and Lauren, they have to go home. They're still at school. But thank you for taking the time of your day and night for coming and talking to us. This will be recorded. If you're coming, I mean, if you're wondering, like, is it going to be recorded? It's going to be in our YouTube channel for the people that are watching. So you can share it away. This is, I don't know. I love it. Kaylee had no idea. I told her about reciprocal learning a little bit. And she's like, this sounds really good.
Put me on this panel. Heck yeah.
Well, we're so happy to have met you at FETC. Thanks for coming up and talking to us and questioning and inviting us and all of that. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
And Caitlin, it was so nice to meet you.
It's great to meet y'all too.
So if you guys start doing it, make sure that you tweet, obviously, and then tag us. Like, show us the things that you're doing in your classroom. Then, based on what you learn about reciprocal learning or just learning in general. We want to see what you guys are doing.
That's right. We're all in this together, Manny. And if someone in California can help me out, I'm hoping we can help them out. We beg, borrow, and steal like all teachers do.
That's right. The wheel is fine.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you for coming with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.